He's larger than life. He'll give you strife. He's Todd. He's tall, he's mean. He's labeling machine. He's Todd. Rides a motorbike. He'll tell you what it's like. He's Todd. Don't know what he'll say. He'll scare the kids away. He's Todd. He's Todd.
Hey, happy frickin' Thursday. Welcome aboard. Man, I'm glad it's toward the end of this week, and I'm sure some of you out there are as well. I've had an interesting week myself. I'm 5 days out of another back surgery, and I think with the last time we talked or the time before, I just came out of my fusions, and that didn't work. So my feet ended up being numb, and if anyone's seen the movie Misery out there, where Kathy Bates puts that 4x4 in between James Caan's heels or ankles, I should say, and smacks it with a hammer. That's what it's been feeling like. So anyway, the doctor decided he's going to go back in and ream the hell out of my spine. I know that sounds nasty, and it was nasty, but anyway, 5 days out, maybe 6 days out. I don't know. I'm not drugged up this morning. All right. Thank you, Tom. Appreciate it. I'm not drugged up this morning, so I've actually found where I can get off the Oxycontin, and I'm on some drug called Gigapetin, or well, I don't know. Anyway, whatever the hell it's called. But then I get all looped up at night, and that's a fun part. So anyway, it's good to see everybody out there. Appreciate it. I think this is a very, very important episode. Oh, by the way, I've added to the studio. The Roadshow studio here. So I brought in 2 shelves, put them together yesterday, and whoo, man, are we looking professional or what? Huh? Yeah. Look what $119 will do. That's white trash. Anyway, what the hell was I talking about? Oh, the show. So I think this is a very important subject. It's a subject that is it really people don't think about, and mainly contractors or integrators. They view labeling a lot as just an ancillary or miscellaneous thing, and they hope to get it right. They hope to make a little money. But I'm telling you, there's most of the time out there, you're not making money. I'm telling you right now. And so we're going to talk about that today, and we're going to talk about the actual cost of these, right, of sets, and we're going to talk about labor, right, and kind of the history of how labeling has developed. And this is going to be a little bit of a death by PowerPoint. We're going to try and make this through the half an hour. I've got 2 things to show you all to basically back up my BS. So we're going to talk about that. And any questions, comments, or otherwise, let me know. But the whole idea behind this is to give everybody a clear and concise understanding of what labeling costs. And to give you an example of some of the history of what I did as a contractor is that, we'd get something from the end user basically saying, okay, here's our labeling schedule, if you will. We'd print it up on the 8.5 by 11 sheets of label, all right, and we take it out, right, and to go from point A to point B, right, you got to consider these factors, right. You usually put it in a manila envelope, and these are true stories. This has happened to me, and so that my tech gets the manila envelope, he puts it on the seat, right, and then he puts his lunchbox or something heavy on the manila envelope. And by the time it gets to the job site, we open it up and all these labels are wrinkled and they look like hell. All right. That is not professional. The other thing that happens when you take, let's say, these self-laminating labels from point A to point B is that you're not accounting for any mistakes that were made in the office. All right. So human error. And so you generally discover human error when you're testing and certifying. You're going, oh, crap. You know what? This label's wrong. right? Well, you don't have another self-laminating label right then and there, right? Which means that you got to do a reprint to make that job professional. And are you accounting for that? You folks out there that are estimating these things, are you estimating your per label cost? Are you estimating for mistakes? And are you estimating for the labor involved? And I can tell you, labor putting or adhering self-laminating labels, it's a lot of labor, because if you don't put them in the upright position, all right, now I'll give you an example right here. All right, I don't know if everyone can see this picture. All right, there we go right there. So this particular label is in the upright position. All right, it's facing upwards, facing north. If this particular label right here was twisted a little off to the left or a little off to the right, what do you see? Well, you see clear. You don't see the identifier. So then what happens is this tech reaches in and he turns it just a little bit to try and identify that. Well, what could that potentially do? That could bring down that node. And it has happened, trust me. So again, are all these factors taken into consideration when you're doing a takeoff, right? And so I'm going to touch a little bit on that. And the first thing I'm going to do is show you my presentation. And I think I did this for, I don't know, some magazine or there's something like that. And Kate, let's see if this works. It worked in practice. I'm going to share screen. I'm going to come over here. Let's see, bang, bang, boom. And hopefully this comes up. There we go. All right. What a beautiful picture that is. So anyway, we're going to run through this thing. And basically, here's your history of labeling, right? And it's still used out there to this day. You got Sharpie, you've got your masking tape, right? Or your duct tape. And then you got the little books. They still sell these little books, right? Sticker books, if you will. And you're always running out of what? Zeros and ones and A's, right? So you have to go buy more books. And this is very labor intensive stuff. And then, down in the bottom left-hand corner, you've got the stuff that you buy at Staples and that you run through the machine, right? Through your printer. In the center there, you can see the self-laminating label, and you can see where the printable area is. And again, you've got a very small printable area followed by a clear label that wraps around it. Then you have these, right? We've all used these, right? And so when I used to send guys out of town, I tell them just go to the office store and buy yourself an inexpensive Brother printer. $39 printer. And then what you do is you sit there for a patch panel and you go A01 space 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 space, A02 space 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 space, A03 space 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 space. And guess what? When you print off that 6-pack, you're a tick off. Well, now instead of 4 spaces, it's 5 spaces. So again, are you accounting for all that? And again, I love the Brother machine. This is an actual machine that I used out in the field, man, good God, 18, 19 years ago, maybe. All right, last time I used it was Fort Collins, Colorado. So anyway, people are still using this stuff, and again, it can be very costly. All right, so let's go to the next one. We're not going to go through this whole thing, and again, this whole show is recorded. All right, so you can go back through and you can take a look at this thing. And again, here are some of the benefits as far as faster troubleshooting, reducing downtime if it's labeled correctly, saving costs. All right. Lost and found, preventing theft. There's all sorts of different labels that you can use, right? Including asset management and inventory control, right? So properly labeled things such as all this, again, if it's labeled proper the first time, it's going to save money on the backside when you go back to actually troubleshoot any of these devices here, right? So we have a couple different scenarios, right? On-site labeling, small to medium job. All right, your pros: use handheld to create all labels, labels are uniform, and to ANSI TIA code. All right, some of the cons involved here is like, let's say you're using a machine like this, all right, or a smaller machine like our PTE 110 or even our PTE 300. They're all great machines, right? But the cons of using these machines are you need to wait for each label to print off, and then you have to peel the back of it, which is labor. Right, that's labor. Messy closet. You got crap all over the floor, all the backings of that. All right. You're subject to fat fingers. Look at the size of these mitts, huh? All right. So again, you're subject to fat fingers, which again is going to make a lot of mistakes. All right. So these are some of the cons involved here. All right. On-site labeling, medium to large job. All right. And this is modern labeling. Pros: use handheld to create some labels. You can use the sheet labels on some of the bigger stuff. Right. So you can use, let's say, handhelds on your patch panels. And then a lot of folks, what they'll do is they'll use the pre-printed self-lams for the cable wraps. And then again, you always want the same uniformity. All right, that's a word, okay, to ANSI TIA code. So here's some of the cons in using both of those platforms. You need to have two labeling platforms, right, which is kind of ridiculous, right? You need to peel the back off every machine printed label. It's extra label or extra labor. Pre-printed labels could get damaged in transit. We talked about my tech putting his lunchbox on top of those labels. Again, true story, happened several times, all right? On the pre-printed labels, you have to sort through. All right. So let's say that you have a stack of those pre-printed labels. You have to run from the first floor up to the third floor. You gotta rifle through those to get to that section. Again, that's extra labor involved, right? That people don't account for. Right. You really can't fix mistakes on pre-printed labels. You can't do it, because if you print a label from a handheld machine, it's not going to look the same as that self-laminating pre-printed label. So again, a lot of people don't think about that, right? You have leftover blank sheets. If you cannot fill, here's what would happen to me is that we'd run an 8.5 by 11 through a laser jet or inkjet printer, and you get to a certain point where the database stops, and it's halfway through one of those sheets. Well, you're done. You've wasted half a sheet, and those things are quite expensive, by the way. You cannot go back through and use that half a sheet. It must be a full sheet. So again, you got to keep that in mind. Is there a waste going to happen here? Right? Again, you got a messy closet using the individual labels where you're having to print the back off, and you're subject to fat fingers as well. So scenario number 3. Larger jobs, right? A lot of the work I'm doing is on larger jobs out there. I want to thank John Pinello out there for Apple Valley. John we worked on a large job recently, and John is using the PTE 550W out there. So again, thanks to John Pinello. I know he's out there watching today. Appreciate that. So anyway, on a larger job, using all pre-printed labels, all right? So again, here's some of the cons that we just went through on the previous slide: the hand sorting, the labels getting damaged out there. You can't fix mistakes, so forth and whatnot. So that's kind of modern labeling for you, if you will. All right. Associated labeling costs, and this is where we get down to the brass tacks, if you will. Anywhere between 9 to 12 cents per label. Yeah, absolutely. Do the math next time you go out there. All right, do the math. Factor in between 15 to 25 labels for the ones left on the sheet, and I'm being very conservative on that. You got to factor, right? You got to factor in your ink and your toner. I know it doesn't seem like a lot, but again, if you're doing your job as an estimator, you got to factor these things in. So add a little bit for that, right? Factor in additional labor, right? For, like we said before, that self-lam being placed in the upward position. Now, are these techs going to do it? Well, they're going to do it if you're going to tell them to do it, but most techs don't. They just slap that thing on there and they wrap it around, and sometimes it's not right. So again, it's going to cost the company extra labor next time to go out as far as identification purpose. And if that tech is messing around with that cable, there's some liability involved here. So think about that liability if you take that note down, right? I used to, because when I was a contractor, and I'm a tightwad, and I knew all this were happening, I would factor in 15 to 20% of the labeling, right? So I come up with a magic number, and then I put in 15 to 20% on top of that for some of these mistakes. And I know, people may think that's ridiculous, but it's not. If you factor in everything I said before, it's not ridiculous, right? So the reprints, you ever think about the reprints, right? So you made some mistakes out there. Well, there's going to have to be reprints. So somebody's going to have to go back to the office. Somebody's going to have to use gas. Somebody's going to have to use their own time and trouble to get those reprints out there. All right. So think about that as well. All right. Additional time to shuffle through the sheets. And the other thing is, with an all pre-printed job, you cannot accommodate last minute change orders on site. And again, it would happen just about every job that I was on, where the GC would come up and he said, okay, we've got a sudden changeover, cutoff again is 9 p.m., but I need you to get 3 or 4 cables put in and still, reach the cutoff time, right? So you don't have those pre-printed labels out there. So you're going to have to use what you have as far as a machine label. And again, it's not, it doesn't follow suit, right? It looks different, right? They may not catch it, but they may catch it. So again, you got to factor those things in. All right. Now, on-site printing using, let's say, the PTE 550 or the PTE 800, where you're going to load a database into the actual unit. So you're taking that same database that you have back at the office that you're using to pre-print it. So in this case, you're going to load that database inside the PTE 550 or the PTE 800. Okay. Now take a look at it. I said 9 to 11 cents per label. Now you're looking anywhere between 4 to 9%, 4 to 9 cents a label. And that depends on the size of the label, because these different cassettes are priced differently based upon the width. All right. So again, figure 4 to 9 cents per label. No label loss except the leader and trailer. Right. So, we talked about leaving those labels on a sheet, if you will. And again, I'm only talking about an 8.5 by 11. There are 4-inch printed sheets now, which I'm a big fan of, that you can just roll up and take out to the job site. Brother doesn't offer that, but maybe something down the road we're looking at. So again, there's no label loss except for if you're printing off of, let's say, one of my machines. Every manufacturer out there that makes these machines has a leader and a trailer. Right? Less time to apply. So the way Brother works on their cable wraps is that it identifies or repeats that identifier, right? Whereas a self-laminating label only uses that identifier up top. So what we do is we repeat that identifier. Let's say that 10 times. So we repeat that identifier to where it doesn't matter where you start and where you end, because at any angle, whether you're 6'6" or you're a Bruce Page stature of 4 foot nothing, I'm looking down on this cable and Bruce is looking up. Well, we're going to see the same identifier because it repeats itself. Right. So I would say factor in additional 5% of labeling. All right. There's going to be less time factored in there. All right. Because the mistakes are discovered on site and they can be printed right from the same machine. It's the same damn label. Right. So you're not waiting for any reprints to come back from the office. Right. You don't have the time to shuffle through there, because you can actually search through these machines. It's got a smart search. It's got a smart search on there to where you just press on the buttons, the first few identifiers of where you want to get to, and it brings up that information for you. All right. No extra time for shuffling. We talked about that because, again, you can access that database as well. All right. Tail of the tape. Brother offers 26.2 feet of tape, except for the heat shrink, up to 300 cable labels off of each cassette. And I know if you do some research, I'm not going to mention names because I don't play like that. But if you do some research, you're going to find that some of these cassettes out there only offer up to 200 cassettes or 200 tapes, cable wrap tapes, and they're twice the cost of mine. So why not get something that you can get close to 300 cable wraps? So you can get much more cable wraps at about half the cost, right? We're laminated, right? Just like those old self-laminating sheets. So if an end user says, you know what, I want laminated labels or self-laminating, I fight this argument all the time, right? Is that all the tape that we use, except for our TZEN 201 super narrow and our heat shrink, is a laminated. It's the same damn thing. Same damn thing. All right. Throw me some arguments. All right. I'm wide open. Bring it if you got it. Argue against what I have versus my competition. All right. The Brother tape is very durable. So some of the competitors out there, they're not even laminated. So they're going to scratch, they're going to scuff, they're going to fade. All right. And we're always almost, I have to do this to play nice, right? Where Brother tape is always less expensive. Pretty much is in most cases, but I'm being nice here, right? The other is less tape, right? Anywhere between 11.5 and 21 feet. Well, you get 26.2 feet on mine, right? You got the on self-lam cassettes up to 200 labels. We talked about that before. Most competitors are not laminated, and again, they're more expensive. All right. So you can see here, and I'm going to go through this quick. You can see the lamination process that we are laminated, right? And we offer different types of tape, extra strength tape, regular strength tape, and a specific tape for cable wraps and flags. And remember, by the way, because I just got a call the other day from a guy who did a big job, and he was using TZE 251. And he was complaining that the lamination was coming off. Well, keep in mind that TZE 251 wants to stay flat. You put it around something round, and it wants to go flat, which means the lamination is going to come off first. So cable wraps and flags, use our TZEFX. That's very important. All right. Associated labeling cost, again, print-on-demand solution. I love the print-on-demand solution. I wish I had it when I used to work for a living out in the field. That would have been fantastic versus putting something in the mail and sending it to a particular site, right? Sometimes those got lost too, by the way. FedEx isn't perfect, neither is UPS. So again, it's kind of the way that we used to do things. Printing from an embedded database, same database we talked about before that's going to be back in the office that you're printing on those pre-printed self-laminating labels. All right. Our labels that you put on, they're not going to come off unless you peel them off. Again, if you use the right tape for the job, unless you peel those off, they're not going to come off. All right. That's very important, because how many times have us contractors, right, gone out and we're having to replace labels, right? It could be the heat environment. It could be in a data center. There's a particular data center customer I have in Phoenix that they one area, they call it Hell's Kitchen, and it is hotter than hell in there. So you take a lot of that heat, and then what they're trying to do is blow that cold air in there with the HVAC system to cool it down. So now you've got heat, and then you've got some wind, if you will, so some blowing air in there. And so a lot of their labels fall off, by the way. And so the contractors are always replacing them. You want to know why? Because they're not using Brother. And so we're in the process of changing that as well. All right. One of the other things I'm not a big fan of is flag labels. All right. I'm not. Flag labels are they're very laborious. And what I mean by that is that it prints off on, you got the identifier on one side of the flag, the same exact identifier the other. And what you try and do is you try and mirror that exactly on that cable. 99% of the time, you don't do that, even with all the time it takes to affix flag to the cable. What happens is, if it's a little off, just a little off, then you're exposing that adhesive right here, which eventually is probably going to stick to another flag. And then you put a lot of those flags together, right? And you're trying to look in the back of this server rack, and sometimes you can't see the identifier. The flag is bent over or it's covered by another flag. Not a fan of flags. Use the heat shrink we have. It's becoming very popular in data centers, specifically with fiber. Print off on the heat shrink. You just don't heat it. It becomes a loose tube. All right. That's available in a cassette form, prints off on a flat tube, and you got 5 feet of heat shrink, and you could tell the machine at what length do you want to cut this heat shrink. So again, that's another alternative, right? Flagging is just it's a lot of time, and at the end of the day, it looks like crap. So again, there's an alternative, and I think that alternative is the heat shrink, right? You can certainly use the Brother apps, which is more convenient. Everything these days is going this way, right? And we have several printers that you can work from the apps. We have our new PLT app out there, which is it's a great app that you can suck that database in. You can also serialize from the app as well. So a lot of these younger kids want to use these apps, where us old farts, I still want to hold it and feel it and touch it and press buttons and stuff like that. So anyway, use one of our partners. All right. I know I see AEMs out there. All right. I see Toms out there. So use one of our partners. All right. You got to do a database for their testing and certifying a unit anyway. All right. Well, we have a way of utilizing that same database that you're going to put in the softing, the AEM, the trend networks. We have a way, Fluke. Let's see, NetAlly, right? Sunbird DSIM, right? We're developing all these partnerships where you can extract the information either from their software, right? And then again, send it to our PLT or send it to our iLink and label, right? Man, you're cutting off a step. Think about that. You're cutting off because typically there's two databases involved here. Use the same damn database, right? That you're going to use inside these certification units, and just dump that database into either the PTE 800 or the PTE 550, right? So real easy. And I hope I mentioned everyone. I know we got Fluke, AEM, Softing, Trend, NetAlly, and Sunbird DSIM right now. All right. So again, that could save a lot of money out in the field, right? By utilizing the 550 and the PTE 800. All right. And again, we just talked about that. Use the 550, use the 800. So I'm going to get rid of this thing. All right. Here's some of the things we can do right here. And I've got some examples. All right. These are safety labeling for the most part. Here's one that I put on every vehicle that I own these days. This is a good one right here. Read this label if you can. All right, that's pretty funny. All right, but the good thing about this is that in the past, a lot of the contractors, what they'd have to do is they'd have to go and they'd say, okay, I want to buy 100 of these things, right? And they're expensive, by the way. They're very expensive. Something like this is probably in the range of $7 to $9. Right now, you can print it with the new Brother Safety Solutions printer. All right, for next to nothing. All right. So again, that's a way to save money. Is stop buying the pre-printed stuff, right, and just print them on demand. And again, it's a different printer. It's not going to print on these smaller ones. If you want, or if you have any questions on this new safety signage printer, either reach out to me or your Brother authorized manufacturer rep. All right. Here's how to contact me. You know all this stuff, right? And Kate will run it at the end of it. But that's the end of that one. I got a few minutes. The next thing I'm going to show you, I'm going to stop this share real quick here, Kate. The next thing I'm going to show you is, you all know that you can buy these things online, all right, at retail price. You can buy them in other areas online. Don't buy the knockoffs. By the way, there's a bunch of copies and knockoffs out there. They're pure crap, absolute crap. All right, so don't come crying to me when you say that your Brother tape is coming off, and I ask you the part number, and you tell me it's a YYZ. FX251 when it should be a TZE FX251. So again, what I'm going to show you next is an actual quote from a distribution partner. All right. And I've taken the liberty to pull out the information from my competitor. All right. But it was interesting to me based upon the two different prices that I got. Well, hell, let's just show the damn thing. All right. And it's very interesting. And this is something you absolutely have to factor in. And as a tight ass contractor, all right, this is what I did. Even back then, when I was doing takeoffs, right, even on labeling. So that's why I'm really passionate about the actual cost of labeling. I mean, I even got to how many zip ties I think I'm going to need, how much pull string I'm going to use, how many rolls of tape. All right. In fact, I was anal about this stuff. Yeah. But anyway, it goes into the labeling. So let me show you this. And let's see. It was very interesting. And let me just double check to make sure I don't have any incriminating here. And I think I'm good. All right. So let's share that. All right, so check this out. All right, look at my heat shrink. All right, I got cost per foot. Heat shrink, by the way, is expensive. All right, but I got cost per foot. I only have 5 foot. My competitor had 8 foot. but look at the cost per foot. I'm at 421. Competitors at 639 per foot, even though they have 3 more feet on the cassette, right? And then you got cost per inch. So go down to, let's say, line item number 11, the TZE 221, our most popular tape out there for patch panels and faceplates, right? So we've got 26.2 feet of tape. I've got 43 cents a foot, and then 3 cents an inch. And my competitor didn't even offer it. All right. Let's say, and I didn't even notice that until right now that it wasn't even on here. All right. But let's take a look at, I don't know, the 1-inch tape. Right. So take line item number 13, a 1-inch tape. Right? So my competitor's got 23 feet. I got 26.2. I've got 62 cents a foot and 0.52 per inch. Look at my competitor, dollar per foot. And those prices are coming from our distribution partners, right? So my suggestion is, when number one, get quotes on the tape. You can save money by getting quotes, right? We sell it at all the big ones, right? I'm not going to mention them. You all know who we sell through. We sell through the regionals out there as well. And so my suggestion is, if you have the opportunity, sometimes you don't have the opportunity, especially if the job is brought to you. But anyway, if it's kind of an open bid, open spec, go shopping out there, right? You can look at their handheld printers. So take a look at my PTE 550W. Street price really out there is about $249, right? But my competitors out there is $453. So again, this is something very, very interesting that a lot of people don't take in consideration. And if you got thousands, and I mean thousands, it can make a big difference. So again, if you have any questions on helping you price a job, and how many cables you have, I will certainly help you put together a BOM based upon that. So Kate, I'm gonna stop sharing this. All right. I want to thank everybody. I know it's what is it, 10:32, couple minutes past, but I really think, again, this is very interesting stuff when putting this together. Hopefully it gave you some ideas. You want to make money on the whole job. You don't want to make some here and then take that profit down because you're losing it over here. Don't lose anything out there. But what that comes with is due diligence on, let's say, the labeling out there. So again, if you got any questions on how to do this, or if you want to learn to be a super tightwad like me, let me know. All right. So with that being said, we're going to roll the credits. I appreciate everybody showing up today. Thank you very much. I think I'm rocking back and forth only because I've got an itch right where they cut me open. And it's killing me right now. So anyway, August 18th, we got our printer matchmaker. What I'm going to do on that is, we kind of went through it today, is I'm going to show you the right printer to use under the conditions that you're faced with. And again, if you're not using the right printer for that condition, what happens? You're losing money, right? Absolute losing money. So I'm going to help you with that as well. September 1st, we got the safety labeling, pipe marking. September 15th, secondary GHS. And we are going to do something at Bixie. The last time we did something at Bixie in Orlando, it was a big hit. It was a smash, if you will. We had a ton of people at the booth. Tom and Lisa and Steve and everybody out there that's watching this show, we're going to do the same damn thing again, where I'm going to bring you over and I'm going to do an interview, and we're going to do a live broadcast, and then we're going to do just a recorded broadcast. So we're going to have fun at Bixie. So I want this to be a big deal at Bixie. We'll discuss a certain date and time. We'll get that out to everybody that's going to Bixie. I'd love everybody to come by. We're going to have t-shirts and hopefully some giveaways and all sorts of fun. And that's what it's all about at Bixie, is mainly fun. So anyway, look for that as well. So as far as my YouTube channel keeps growing all the time. If you haven't already, scan this barcode and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I still haven't seen my check yet. For my 200 and something viewers, I don't know where you got to get a check from YouTube, but help a brother out. and subscribe to my YouTube channel. That'd be fantastic. As far as how to contact us, we go through the same thing every week. Here we go. I am out here in lovely Escondido, California. It's hotter than hell out here. I'm sure it's hotter than hell everywhere that y'all are watching. Jamie Brookover is in Virginia Beach. We got Mr. Dan Cobb out in Wisconsin. Mr. Bruce Page is always lurking out there. He's always lurking. He's out there somewhere. But he comes from Marblemouth, Massachusetts, Marblehead. Anyway, and then Rob Dawkins, old Rob Dawkins. He's out of North Carolina somewhere. Who the hell knows? And then Craig Robinson is on PTO. I guarantee he's not watching. But anyway, he's out of Florida. So if you need to get a hold of us, please do so. Contact any one of us at any time based upon where you are. I want to thank everybody again for tuning in. These shows just keep getting better and better and better. I want to thank Kate out there for putting this. Kate's always in the background lurking. I didn't get any nasty messages today, which means that it was a good show. So with that being said, thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your week. Have a great freaking weekend. All right. And I'll see you in 2 weeks. So anyway, I'm out.